Something isn't right between Lewis Hamilton and his race engineer Riccardo Adami at Ferrari. You don't need to be an expert or an F1 strategist to feel it. It's in the radio messages. It's in the silence between words. It's in the way Hamilton asks questions mid-race and gets no answers. The relationship between a driver and his race engineer is one of the most important in Formula One. And when that starts to crack, the whole weekend can fall apart. That's exactly what seems to be happening right now at Ferrari, and the tension is becoming more obvious with each race. It all became very clear in Monaco. The race itself was a challenge as expected, with the narrow streets and limited overtaking. But the big story wasn't just about position, it was about communication, or rather the lack of it. As the race wound down, Hamilton got on the team radio and asked a very simple but loaded question. Are you upset with me or something? What followed was not a technical reply or a quick reassurance. It was silence. An awkward, extended silence. Not because of a glitch, but an actual silence that felt heavy. That moment said a lot. It wasn't just Hamilton asking a question. It was a moment of vulnerability, of doubt, of a champion wondering why the people supposed to guide him felt distant. After the race, Hamilton laughed it off. He told the press, it was nothing. But fans around the world caught the shift. You don't ask something like that during a race if everything's okay. When a driver feels like his own engineer is upset with him during the heat of a Grand Prix, something is clearly wrong. That question wasn't about tire wear or strategy. It was about trust. This wasn't an isolated event either. Rewind to the Miami Grand Prix, and the tension was already there. That weekend, Ferrari delayed team orders when Hamilton was stuck behind his teammate. He felt ignored. When the call finally came, Hamilton's voice dripped with sarcasm. Have a tea. Brake while you're at it. Then a few laps later, Ferrari instructed him to give the position back. Hamilton asked with disbelief, "You want me to let him pass as well?" That tone wasn't frustration. It was cold. It was the kind of sarcasm that comes from someone who feels like they're shouting into a void, like no one on the other end is really listening. This ongoing problem has caught the attention of former drivers too. Juan Pablo Montoya, never shy about speaking his mind, went public with what many have been thinking. He said Lewis Hamilton needs to get angry. He needs to demand change. He needs to make people uncomfortable, including his own race engineer. Montoya didn't just question the communication issues, he said outright that Adami's silence was unprofessional. And more than that, if Montoya were running the team, he'd have already removed Adami from the pit wall. That's a big claim, but maybe not an unreasonable one. If your lead driver, the 7-time world champion, is questioning whether his own engineer is mad at him during a race, that's not just bad communication, that's a serious problem. F1 is built on trust and timing, and if that link is broken, between the driver and engineer, it can ruin a season. The big question now is whether Hamilton is thinking about asking for a change. Maybe he's considered switching race engineers, but there's another layer. What if he can't? What if Ferrari isn't willing to make that change? That opens up the possibility that this is more than just a personal disconnect. It could be a power struggle, one where Hamilton doesn't hold all the cards. And if that's the case, things could spiral very quickly. What happens if this tension boils over in the middle of a race? What if something critical happens? An unexpected safety car, a tricky pit stop strategy, and the lack of trust causes a delay or a mistake. These are the moments where championships are won or lost. Barcelona brought all of this to the surface in a very painful way. From the outside, the race weekend looked routine. In qualifying, Hamilton put the car P5 on the grid, solid. Leclerc was just behind. The McLarens were ahead, but there was hope. The race started clean. Hamilton got a great launch, even past Russell. The SF25 looked competitive for a few laps. Then things began to fall apart. Lando Norris pulled away with ease. Leclerc was right behind Hamilton, clearly faster. On lap 9, Ferrari made the call, swap positions. Leclerc went through and raced off toward a podium. Hamilton stayed stuck, but it didn't end there. The drop-off continued. Hamilton started to lose grip, lose confidence. Then came the shock. He was overtaken by Nico Hülkenberg in the Sauber. That's not supposed to happen. By the time the checkered flag dropped, Hamilton was outside the B points, and his message over the radio was crystal clear. There's something wrong with this car, mate. It's the worst it's ever been. Not just bad, not just difficult, the worst it's ever been. Coming from Lewis Hamilton, that means a lot. And it wasn't just his words. In the post-race interviews, he didn't rant. He didn't argue. He didn't even get defensive. He shrugged. He looked disconnected. When asked what's next, he didn't say Canada or more work to do. He said one word: home. When another reporter tried to give him hope, suggesting that Ferrari might find the problem, Hamilton replied, "I'm sure they won't, it's probably just me." That doesn't sound like frustration. That sounds like resignation. Like a man who feels alone in the fight. Like a driver who's losing faith, not just in the car, but in the people around him. Team principal Fred Vasseur later admitted that there was in fact something wrong with the car, something affecting the final stint. But he didn't explain, he kept it vague. That doesn't help either. If there's an issue, own it. If the team made a mistake, admit it clearly, especially when your lead driver is being passed by a Sauber in a Ferrari. Now we're left wondering, is this just a one-time glitch or a sign of something deeper? Is the relationship between Hamilton and Ferrari already fractured beyond repair? Can you really fix a car's handling when the energy in the garage is this broken? And let's not forget the earlier part of the Barcelona weekend. Free practice wasn't disastrous in terms of lap times, but Hamilton's radio message was damning. This car is not drivable, mate. That's not about race strategy or tire temps. That's a driver who feels like he's battling his own machinery with no backup. Ferrari said they suspected a downforce issue. Hamilton said it was a bad day. But he added that Saturday should be better, and it was for a while. Qualifying P5 was a decent recovery, and heading into Sunday he sounded determined. He even told the media he was going all in for the podium. But as we now know, the race fell apart almost immediately. The early optimism faded, the car stopped responding, and the team had no answers. Hamilton didn't get angry, he just faded. And that's where things get even more concerning. When Lewis Hamilton, known for his fire, his passion, his endless self-belief, when he starts sounding like this, you know something is wrong. The helmet comes off, and there's no spark in his eyes. The interviews are quiet. The body language is off. These are the signs of a driver who feels unsupported. Now let's zoom out a bit. With the championship moving toward Canada and Austria, Ferrari needs answers, but they also need unity. You can't fight for podiums or even points when your lead driver is wondering if his own engineer likes him. That's not just a technical issue. That's a leadership failure. Montoya said it best. Hamilton needs to demand change. He needs to shake the tree, make the team uncomfortable, and remind everyone who he is. Because right now Ferrari looks unsure, and Hamilton looks alone. If something doesn't change soon, this could become one of the most disappointing seasons of his career, not because of results, but because of lost potential. Meanwhile, another storyline from Barcelona has also caught fire. Max Verstappen's penalty after his contact with George Russell has triggered serious debate across the paddock. During the race, Verstappen cut a corner and collided with Russell. The stewards didn't hold back. He got a 10-second penalty and 3 points on his super license. That brought his total to 11. One more point, and Verstappen is banned from a race. Initially, Verstappen brushed it off. He said it was business as usual. But 24 hours later, things shifted. On social media, Max posted a rare message of accountability. He said frustration fueled the move and that it shouldn't have happened. He admitted fault. Even Christian Horner liked the post, something he rarely does. Now the conversation has changed. Was that post a genuine apology, or was it a PR move to avoid further scrutiny from the FIA? Either way, Verstappen is now walking a tightrope. One more mistake in Canada or Austria, and he's out for a race. This drama adds even more pressure on the championship battle, but it also reflects a bigger trend in Formula One this season. Emotions are running high. Top drivers are clashing with teams, stewards, and even themselves. And in Hamilton's case, that clash seems to be happening behind closed doors.